All right, so I'm going to talk about 4 drawing libraries in 5 minutes. Drawing libraries are an extremely vast subject, much like promises and OCSS and everything else, but I'm going to focus on these 4 drawing libraries, paper.js, three.js, Raphael.js, and D3, which stands for data-driven documents. I picked these because I think they have the most relevance. There's a lot of drawing libraries, but if you've ever heard of, I'm sure you've heard of three.js because it's pretty much the premier 3D library. And these other 3, for example, paper.js, really appeals to me as I used Adobe Fireworks a lot and worked a lot with SVG. And Adobe Fireworks is no longer with us. Rest in peace. We can pour a beer out for that later. So I'm going to talk about 4 drawing libraries. So what I'm going to do is to demo this. I don't really have any slides. I'm going to take the awesome SEM.js profile of mine. Just ignore the dorky selfie. And I'm going to transform it into something awesome that we haven't seen since the likes of GeoCities using some drawing libraries. So the first thing I'm going to do is I really love the SEM.js logo. I think it's pretty sweet. I don't know who designed it, but I really like it. But I think it needs a little pop. It needs to get a little more edgy. So I'm going to start with that using three.js, and I'm going to put it in 3D, and I'll put it in space. So let me just start up my server here. Okay. Fresh here. There we go. All right. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So we've taken three.js. We mapped a texture on a 3D object, and we put it inside a scene. And then we also added a little space background. It's a little hard to see. That's what's going on. This uses WebGL under the covers. And if you've ever looked at WebGL, this coding right here would probably be 1,000 lines of code. It's incredibly abstract. There's shaders going on there, animation, depth, camera. It's a lot going on. So three.js abstracts that all really nice, and the code for that is right here. I don't have this up on GitHub. I'm sorry, it's really rough, but I can put it on if you guys really want me to. Here's the whole code. It's 65 lines to add a cube, texture, rotate it, animate it, do some other sweet stuff. Okay. So next, what do we want to do? I think we want to change the header a little bit. The header is a little bland. It's just kind of, you know, some like courier type text. So let's use paper.js to make it really awesome. So continuing with our space theme. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're in space twice. So we got the spinning cube. We got that going on. Now paper.js uses canvas and SVG, and it is probably the nicest abstraction on top of SVG I've ever used. Like I said, coming from the Adobe Fireworks background, I like to work with just simple shapes, simple paths, and that's all I want. I don't want to get any more crazy than that. Okay, so we've demonstrated 2 libraries. What's the third one we want to do? I think I want to show a pie chart of attendance, because if you look at the attendance at the bottom, it's all right. Okay, I've RSVP'd 8 times, whatever. That's boring. So let's do something sweet. Let's uncomment that. Oops, no, that'll cause a syntax error. We're going to use Raphael.js to make a little pie chart. Like an awesome pie. Canary here. Okay. Oh, get that. Now I can do that. Little pops out. Says I've yesed 5 times, node once, and maybe twice. So Raphael.js is it provides a nice abstraction on top of SVG as well. In my opinion, it doesn't work as nicely with data as D3 does, which I'm going to demonstrate in a second. But this one took the fewest lines of code, I think, of all the ones I showed. And if you really like working with vectors, I don't actually know what this is called, but when you define a path inside a vector, you use these different directives. You say like M, and then you give it 2 coordinates, and then it moves to that point. Then you say L, then you give it 2 coordinates, and it draws a line to that point. It's very cryptic, but it's very low level, so you can do very powerful things with it, like drawing curves and arcs. And in the case of the example here, you can draw nice, fun little pie charts with animation. So this is just SVG, nothing crazy here. Okay, so next, it adds here, it asks on the original profile, it says, hey, how are you in JavaScript? Well, okay. JavaScript's cool, but we talk about a lot of different web technology. So let's bring out a chart that shows how good I am at all types of different technologies. So I'm going to use D3, data-driven documents, to kind of merge data into into an SVG document. And then D3 is used for a million different types of infographics and charts. And what I'm using is probably the most basic use of it. But when you use it, it's really nice because it's basically like take this set of data, smash it together with this SVG, repeat over the data set, and build out something over this data set. And then you can add animation, that sort of thing. All right, so let's take a look at what that's going to look like. All right, so we got our space theme, got our pie chart. Now, oh, look at that. All right, so there I have a simple data set that I have inside of a tab-separated values file, like that. And all that does, D3 takes that and says, OK, I'm going to iterate over each row. Tell me how you want me to draw this out. And it draws it out using about 74 lines of code. So it's real simple, real easy to use. And it's just like using jQuery because it has selectors and attributes and that sort of thing, just in SVG. So they vary a little bit. But for the most part, it'll probably be really familiar to any web developer. So that's 4 drawing libraries in 5 minutes. And I am available for SEM.js profile redesigns. I work about $75 an hour if anybody wants this. All right. Anyway, thank you very much.